We're dealing with fascinating Gemara over here, and the Gemara is on Daf Kuf Tes Amud Sheni, about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines from the bottom. Okay, and where the Gemara is in the middle of an interesting shmooze over here. Gemara asked the question of how could it be that the Chachamim established that you should drink 4 cups of wine. In the time of the Chazal, drinking in even numbers was something that brought a person to danger of the demonic forces. And it's not just out of the blue. We're going to learn today that it was a halacha l'Moshe Messinai. I'm trying to say how severe it was. And it to me, I think it had to do with many years back, the spiritual voltage was much higher. So you have to understand that the demonic voltage was much higher as well. And therefore, that's why there was more of a chance of sakana of doing things in even numbers. So then, and the brisa, the Gemara brought a brisa that a person, and what I mean doing things in pairs, it means sitting down with 2 cups of Coke. That's what it means. Even if you're not going to drink the whole cup, the Gemara doesn't answer that. If you sit down with 2 cups in front of you, or you know you're going to drink 2 cups, that is a sakana. You're not allowed to eat 2 pairs. You're not allowed to drink 2. You're not allowed to wipe yourself in the Beis HaKisei twice. And we're going to learn about this today. You're not allowed to do relations twice. So how would they misakim to do something that could lead to a danger? So Rav Nachman's answers is Omakra Leil Shemurim. That was Rav Nachman's teretz, and this is where we left off yesterday. That it's a night that is connected, that there is no mazikin that night. And hence, probably, I think that's probably one of the reasons why we opened the door for Eliyahu Hanavi at the end of the night. Who opens the door, especially if you live in the city or in an urban environment? You open the door at night, it's dangerous. But we trying to establish to us at the Seder that we confident that nothing bad can happen to you, because it's a Leil Shemurim, a night that God provides a special watch to a person. And therefore, we shorten the Krishma Shalamita. Now, this is the Teretz Rabta. Rava answered another Teretz, 3 lines from the bottom. Rava Amar, Kois Shel Bracha Mitzdaraf L'Toiva Ve'ena Mitzdaraf L'Ra. The benching cup, which is Daraisa, Kois Shel Bracha, will combine if it's for a good omen, but not for a bad omen. In other words, if the Kois Shel Bracha is like a neutral, so we look at it as if you have 3 cups that night, because if you combine the 3rd cup, then you would have 4 cups. So the Kois Shel Bracha only counts if you drink 2 and then you drink the Kois Shel Bracha, then you have 3. But if you're going to drink a 4th cup, then we don't count the Kois Shel Bracha, and that's how it works. So it works for good and does not work for bad. And then Ravina says, Arba Kasi Takinu Rabban Dercheres. The 4 cups are each separate, the Rabbanan established of the way of freedom. And have nothing, 1 cup has nothing to do with each other. Kol Chad V'Chad, each one of them, top of the page, mitzvah ba'ampe nafshehu. It's each one is its own separate mitzvah. So therefore, they're not mitzdaraf one with another. Says the Gemara, you said in the Brisa, lo yasa trochav trei. You're not allowed to do relations twice. And I mentioned this yesterday. I think we learned in Erevin that if you do it twice in one night, you're guaranteed to have bon of zechorim. But the Gemara, so we see that it's an Indian to do trei. But the Gemara asks, Amai, what could be wrong with that? What could be wrong with having relations twice? Nimlachu. Because as soon as, unlike the other things, when you sit down with 2 cups of Coke, you could drink them both. But here, you have to reset the taiva, because Rashi says, look at the Rashbam, Nimlachu. It's like you stopped. You have to reconsider. The Tashmis Rishon Gomer Biyase, the first relation is finished. Ubatel Ta'avase, and your desire is gone. So it's like it should be counted as separate ones. That's what we're trying to say. So Amar Abaya said, Hachi Kamer, this is what the Brisa means. Lo Yaichel Trey, don't eat 2 things, V'yishta Trey, or drink in pairs. V'lo yasa tzrochav afilu pam achaz. And you shouldn't do your have relations even one time after you did the zugais. So we're narrowing it down. If you drink zugais, you open yourself up to something damaging happening to you. And therefore, once you did something of zugais, of a pair beforehand, then don't have relations, because once a person has relations, dil mechalish, you become weak, umitra, and your mazel becomes a little bit weakened and shaky. So therefore, at that time, it's not a good idea to do relations. So you have to wait till it passes. It's not guaranteed that it's if you eat zugos, something is going to happen to you. But if you do something that shakes the mazel, so then you open up yourself to more of a sakana.
So if they're telling you you do things twice and you have bad mazel, and they
No.
say
Then you do
no,
something that you have to twice. So now the demons can have an effect on you.
so
But
how long do you wait for demons to not have effect on you?
that's a good question. The
Is
Gemara,
it 10 minutes, 3 hours, 5 days,
I guess, till you get thirsty again, or till you get hungry again. But
or just drink a third cup?
basically, yeah, or you drink a third cup. That's what we're going to learn. That could be if you're still within that in the same sitting, grab a third cup, and we're going to learn about that. But it's a good point. You either what the Gemara here means, just sit it out. I don't know. Don't do anything that weakens your mazel.
So no more 2 eggs or 2 slices of toast.
No, the Gemara is going to say that exactly. That's true.
Yeah.
Either Bizaman has that. The Gemara is going to qualify it right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's learn the brisa. I mean, it weakens as the generations go. Tanur Rabbanan. So in the time of the Talmud, Shaisa Kiflaim, if you drink in pairs, Dame Baraishai. That means your death is on your hand. In other words, if you die, Avoin Lusasai al Roishai Muto, Shuhu Medes Atzma. You killed yourself. You caused your own death because you were violated this idea of not doing things in pair. Amar Rabbi Huda said, Emasai, when was this said? Bisman Shlora Pnei Shuk. If you don't go to the street between one drink and the next, you drank both at the same time. But Avara Pnei Shuk, if you saw the street, you walked outside, so you interrupted the pair, or shus biyade, then you're permitted to drink in twos. Amar Ravashi said a practical story. Chazina lay, I saw Rav Chanina bar Beva. I saw Rav Chanina bar Beva that kol kasa on every cup that he drank have a nafik v'chaze ape shuka. He would go outside and have his face see the street. I don't know why he did that, because like Steve just said, why didn't he make sure that he doesn't end up with zugais? But maybe he thought he might stop at 2, so he was so careful about it. So every cup he just went outside. V'loy amran, and this was not said, elalotzes l'derech, but to go in the way. If you leave the house after you have zugais, so going on the street, you open yourself up to being mugged or something like that, or it's dangerous. That's when it's a problem. But if you wait it out in your house, it's not a problem with eating zugais. That's b'chiddush. Amar Rabbi Yezer says, "V'lishayin, if you take a nap in between the 2 cups, it's as if if you go to nap right after you have the zugais, then it's dangerous, because it's kolotzes l'darachtam. It's as if you went on the road, and therefore it's dangerous to sleep right after you had the kiflayim. You may not wake up. So therefore, after the shaisa, try to stay up. Amar Papa says, going out to the restroom. Now their restrooms were out somewhere in the woods, so it was a dangerous place. It's as if you're going on the way. So therefore, it's dangerous to go to the Beis HaKisei. So I don't know what they expected you to do. You're not allowed to hold it in. So I guess you should take somebody with you if you're going to go to the Beis HaKisei. So the Gemara says, Uba Beisei loy, waiting it out in your house is not a problem. Rava would drink in pairs, but money kishure, he would count, let's say, the beams of his house. I guess he had like 1 beam, 2 beams, 3 beams on his ceiling, and he just made a mental note what drink he's up to, so that he'll make sure that he doesn't end up with an even number. But he was drinking in his house, and so why is he so concerned? And then the Gemara says, Abaya, when he would drink, he sasa chad kasa, when he would drink 1 cup of whatever liquid, mankit le'ime, his mother would hold tre kasi b'treyade. She would hold 2 cups in her 2 hands, just in case that if he would want more, she right away gave him 2, so he would have 3 and end up with an odd number. So, and therefore, the Abaya was drinking at home, and yet his mother was making sure that he would always end up right away with an odd number. You just told me that staying at home is not a problem of zugos. Now, I want to point out to you that the Gemara says that Abaya's mother had the 2 cups in her hand to make for the drink. So the Rashbam points out Abaya, Ibarta, it's not really his mother, it's his stepmom. Ibarta Imoy, when his mother became pregnant, Meis Aviv, his father died. Yol Dasai Imoy, when his mother gave birth to him, Mesa Imoy, then his mother died. So Abaya did not have parents. So this is his stepmother, the one that raised him. Now, you can see clearly why the Rashbam needed to point this out to you over here. Because if it was his real mother, how could Abaya allow his mother to serve him? Unless she was an old-time mama. But it's not their cheretz for him to sit there and have his mother serve him 2 more cups. So it must be it was his stepmother. So he was more lenient. Says the Gemara, Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak ki havashasa trei kaseh, when he would drink 2 cups, manket leishamai chad kaseh. His servant or his waiter would hold another cup. So when he drank 2, his waiter had another cup waiting for him to make sure he has an odd number. Chad kasa. When Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak would drink 1 cup, manket le trei kaseh b'trei yadei. The waiter would hold like Abaya's mother, 2 cups in 2 hands. So therefore, how you told me in your house it's not a problem. We see that the other Maroyim were very concerned about it, even if they're drinking in their house and they're not going on the road. So the Gemara answers, Odom Choshev Shani. There were very special people. Very special people have like the Ayin Hora on them. So the demon forces, the demonic forces will affect them even if they don't go on the road. Now, I point something very important out to you that makes this whole thing very geschmack. Because why did the Gemara bring this in? Because you just asked the question, how could the Rabbanim be masaking 4 cups of wine for your Pesach Seder? It's a sakana. But in your house, if you're not going to go, who's leaving their house on the Seder night? So it shouldn't be it's not a sakana. But the answer is that you just told me that Odom Choshev Shiny, a person who's a important individual, that he has to be concerned about zugos, even if he stays at home. Well, every person on the night of the Seder is a very important person. He's like the king. He's like the melech. He's a free person. So therefore, they should have been concerned with not for the other terutzim on the night of the Seder for every individual. The Gemara continues. Amma Ula says, Asara kaisis ein behem mishum zugos. There are 10 cups of wine that they would feel that the halacha was that for an oval, they would give him 10 cups of wine. We'll learn about that in Mitzvah Shem B'Sechta Ksubas. So there's not a problem of zugas. Why? It's an even number 10. Ula the Tameh. Ula goes according to his reasoning. The Amma Ula, V'amri le b'masit, Tani Tzabraisa, Asarat Kaisis Tikne Chachamim Beis Oval. The number 10 Kaisis, the Chachamim established for someone to drink if he's in the house of Oval. If you think that 10 is a problem of zugais, so how could the Rabbanan establish? How could the Chachamim establish that an oval should drink 10 cups of wine? So there's no problem of number 10. But 8, there's a problem of zugais with the number 8. It's an even number. Later generations, Rav Chisda, Rabba Rav Huna, the Amri Taveu, Shalom. Shalom is the number 7. The number 7, because there are 7 words in that pasuk. Shalom. So number 7, l'toivert mitzdarf, will only be combined if it's a good omen. L'ra lo mitzdarf, it would not be for bad. So it depends. If you drink 6 and then you drink number 7, then you end off in an odd number. If you plan on drinking number 8, number 7 will not be a problem because number 7 will be a problem. It will only combine to the number only if it's good for you, but not if it's bad for you. So number 7 is not a problem. Avashita, but number 6, yesh ben mishum zugais. There is a problem of even numbers by number 6. Rabbi Yosef Damar Vichuneka, number 3 is number 5. The toiva mitzdarf, l'ra loy mitzdarf. It will go, combine if it's good for you, but not if it's bad for you. So again, if you drank 4, number 5 would make it an odd number. If you'd want to drink 6, it's not a problem. Number 5 will not count because it corresponds to the word vichuneka in the Birkas Kahanim. But number 4 would be a problem of even numbers. But Abaye and Rava, who are the latest Tanoim, the Amri Tavayu said both Yishmerecha, Yivrecha Hashem, the Yishmerecha, which is number 3, the Toiva Mitzdarf, L'Rai La Mitzdarf. For good, it will combine. For bad, it will not combine. Okay, so the only problem is number 4. The only problem is 2. Number 4 will not be a problem because number 3 will combine itself to make it an odd number if that's the last cup you're going to drink. But if you want to drink number 4, then we're not going to count number 3. So v'azda Rava l'tamei. Rava goes according to his reasoning. The Rava apkinu rabbanon ba'arba kaises. Rava, when he said goodbye to his students, he would set down 4 cups that they should drink 4 cups for whatever reason, and therefore he had no problem doing zugais with the 4 cups. Afagav the itazak Rava Levi. He had a student, Rava Balivai. They gave him the 4 cups as they were leaving for the Beinas Manim, and he got injured. Something bad happened to him. So does that mean that Rava did wrong? Loi chosh la milsa. Rava was not concerned about it. Why? The Amar, he had another reason why Rava Bar Levi got injured. Ahu mit oisvan bepirkahava. He asked too many questions in the shir, in the lecture, and therefore he sort of like embarrassed Rava a little bit during the lecture. And there's a certain kapeda, a certain hakpada that Rava may have had on him, and that's why he got injured. But that's not the reason. It had nothing to do with even numbers over there. And that's why Rava continued his practice of saying goodbye to the students with 4 cups. Now the Gemara continues. Amar Rav Yosef. Now you see very interesting things that the Amoraim had conversations with Shadim, with demons. And was it a vision or they actually did have this conversation? The Gemara says like this: Amar Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef said, Amar li Yosef Shida. Yosef the Shade, the Shin Dalet, the demon, told me. Apparently, this Yosef, the Shin Dalet, had the same name. The spirit had the same name as him. I think Rav Yosef was blind, so maybe he had these visions than more so than other Amoraim. He said, the Shade said, Ashmedai, this Shade that's called Ashmedai, Malka the Shada, he's the king of all the Shadim. And Mamuna, he is in charge, Akula Ziga, on all the even numbers, on the Zugais. And he said, you don't have to worry anymore because so many years, Malka lo ikra mazik. A king is not considered a mazik and he will not do damage. It's too beneath him to damage a human being. Ika de Amri, but others say, so they said just the opposite. Adarabba, just the opposite. Because he's a malka, because he's a king, Raschanahu, he's violent temper. My deboil of it. Whatever he wants to do, he does. Shahamelech pirates goider, a melech could break through a wall, lasas loiderech, to make a row. The ein moichim biyodei, no one can stop him. That's like an expression that a melech, if he wants to go through a wall, and he'll knock the whole wall down, not going through the entrance. I think what's that in the old city that where you go to the Kaisel, that Shar Yafo, or one of them is like there's a breach in the wall, and they say that the king went through it. The right outside Mamila, you walk through it. There's a door there, but then there's a whole breach, and that was broken because of a king that wanted to go through. Melech pirates got lasses lideref emech biyodei. I point out that by a bris, by Sfardim, I think to show that they're not makbid and zugais, they do things in pairs. like to show that it's not a concern anymore. Amar Papa, Rabbi Papa said, Omali Yosef Shida. Yosef the Shade told me something else. Betray with two people, Katlinin will kill the person if he drinks two. Ba'aba, but if he drinks the number 4, like Katlinin, we won't kill him, but Ba'aba, Maskinan will give him damage. Betray, if he drinks 2, Bain Beshogi, Bain Bemezid. If he did it by accident or on purpose, we're out to get him. Ba'aba, if he drinks 4, Bemezid, and only if he did on purpose, yes, Beshogi Gloy. But if he does it by accident, okay, they will let him get away. So 2 is the real hard number over here. Now, the Gemara says, what happens if a guy drank 2 and then started on the road? The Ishtale the Ikra Unafak. The guy forgot, and it happened that he had 2. Unafak, he went outside. Maita Kante, what should he do? So the Gemara says, Linkoit Zapka today, he takes the mine. He takes the right thumb, biyada de smole, into his left hand, into the, he wraps his left hand around his right thumb, Zakbe de smole, and his left thumb, he wraps it around bida de mine with the right hand. And then he should say, V'nei mahachi. He should say the following, Aton va'ana, you and I, hatlasu, we're 3. In other words, he tells the shade, I'm 3. V'ishmi'alei the amar, if you hear a voice come out, whether it's a man or a woman, Aton va'ana, you and I, ha'aba, we're number 4. Name alei, you answer back to the demon, Aton va'ana, ha'chamisha, we're 5. The Ishmi alon the Amar, if you hear the demon say, Aton va'ana shita, we're number 6 together. Name alei, you tell him, Aton va'ana shiva, we're together, you and I are 7. In other words, you keep going to an odd number, even if he tries to get you to stop at an even number. So the Gemara says, Hava uvda, there was a story, a guy got stuck with this demon, and he kept going a number, and the demon kept going an even number, he kept going an odd number. Ad mea achad, until they reached 101. When he reached 101, upaka shida, the shida bursted. In other words, it blew up. I guess there's a significance to that number 101. The Gemara says you should learn 101 times whatever you're trying to remember. But there's something significant about 101, and the shade disappeared. Now, so that's it. Now, there's an English expression, I think it's called holding thumbs. I don't know if you've heard of it. So it comes from this Gemara, 1,500 years ago. Holding thumbs is something that blocks away the demons. Now, till now, we're talking about demonic forces. Now we're going to talk about something more severe, and that's called witchcraft. Amar Amemar said, Amali Rishtini, the Rishtini is the name of a big witch, the Nashim Kashvanius, who's the main head of all the witches. That means that it's much more severe. So how man de pagabahu benashim kashvanios, if you encounter one of the witch women, right? If you end up in India, name achi. If you say the following, it's not going to have an effect in you. And this is like an omen. What do you say? Charu chachmime bedikule bazaya. What you're trying to say is hot manure in ripped baskets. Lepumaichai should go into the mouth. Nashei dichashaya, you women of witchcraft. Karach karchaichu, your hair should fall out, the hair that you do your witchcraft with. Parach parchaichu, the breadcrumbs that you do your witchcraft should blow away in the wind. Now we go to Kuf Yud Amid Sheni. Ibardu tavlu naichu, your spices should be spread out. The wind should carry it somewhere. Right? And parcha zika lamarika, the wind should blow. Marika is your, it's a type of a spice. I don't know, the merita chadita, that you hold the naktinu nashim kashvoniyos, saffron, where you hold in your hand to do your witchcraft. In other words, all your tools should blow away. And that's the if you remember those words, have it in your pocket. So, and then the witchcraft will not have any effect on you. And you continue and you say, when I had mercy on myself, and in Shemayim they had mercy on myself, and they concerned about me, and I was concerned about myself, and you were concerned about me, La asini lagai, I wouldn't have met up with you. I wouldn't have come. I wouldn't have came here. But hashta da asesi lagot. Now that I came here, I know that you cooled with your rachmanis, and your mercy has cooled off, and my rachmanis, my concern about myself was lapse, and therefore, karchani v'chachani, that my thing cooled off. That's why I have to say all this, so that I realize that I'm in trouble. In other words, you're trying to say that I didn't really want to do it, but now that and because I knew I was concerned about myself, but because I lapsed in the concern about myself, that's why I'm saying this omen to get rid of you. Now the Gemara says like this: B'marave loy kapte azuge. In Eretz Yisrael, they were not concerned about the even numbers. They were not concerned about it. Rav Dimi Minardai Kopbit, he was so concerned about it. Afila Arishma de Chavisa, when he would make marks on his barrel, he would not end off with an even number. He would just mark off. He wouldn't even say it, but just to end off with an even number, he wouldn't have that on his barrels. Hava Uvda, there was one time he ended off in an even number. Upaka Chavisa, that barrel blew up or split open. And now here the Gemara says, Klola de Milsa, here's the rule of all these things. Call the pocket. And now kapid means that you're overly concerned about it. Not that you're forever talking about zugais. Kapti bahadei. Then they're concerned about you, and it will have an effect on you. Udaloy kapid, and if you're not overly concerned, in other words, you're not always talking about it, loy kapte bahadei, it will not affect, it will not take you, but miu, in all situations, l'meichesh boya, you have to be concerned about it. We saw, it's the idea of what the Gemara is trying to say is that if you overly say something negative and you keep, obsessing over it, that you bring it upon yourself. You have to not, if it's out there, you do what you have to protect yourself, but don't be obsessive about it. That could bring that negative forces to happen to you. Not to say it and talk about it, cup it. I always like to say that the best example of this is that before the 1986 World Series, they gave an interview to Bill Buckner, who was the first baseman, an all-star for the Boston Red Sox. And they asked him, what are you most nervous about? He says, I'm so scared that I'm going to make an error and cost the game for us. And guess what? That's what happened against the Mets in 1986. His error in the first base caused the Mets to win. But it's a very big thing. The people who talk about negative forces could possibly bring it upon themselves. Okay, so Sheldon, this is what you're talking about over here. He also Rav Dimi, when Rav Dimi came to Bavel from learning in Israel, Omar, he said, Shtei beitzim, 2 eggs, like you said. 2 eggs. Shtei egoizim, or 2 walnuts. Shtei kushuim, or 2 cucumbers. V'dava acher. There was another food item that was also included in the zugos. Halacha l'Moshe Messinai. What the Gemara is trying to say is that really ending in the pairs was only a problem for only a few foods: eggs, walnut, cucumbers, and the mystery item. So therefore, technically, most items that you're going to do are not a problem. But the halacha Moshe Messinai was forgotten what this davar acha, what this mystery item is.
Wouldn't it be drinking?
It could be drinking.
Since we know that there was one other item, and in this list they didn't say drinking, and everything till now was about having a drink, wouldn't it make sense that the one other thing is drinking?
Possibly, yes, right? Possibly, but drinking what? Drinking Coke or drinking tea or drinking water?
All I'm saying is it's not another food.
It could be. But no, the Gemara, but Gemara seems to say there could be another food. You'll see in a second, it could be food. I don't know. Because the Rabbanan made a gzeira now. You see, there's a concept of chamira sakanta me'isura. If you have a doubt of danger, all Rabbanan should go lakula, right? But we don't go lakula over here because it's a poison. So therefore, you have to be machmir on everything. That's what he was saying. Halachim are saying, Umistap galu Rabbanan, the Rabbanan had a doubt, my davar acha. What is that mystery item? The Gaza Rabbanan Bakula Zugay Bishum davar acha. The Rabbanan made a new law, and that's what makes everything dangerous. That anytime you end off with an even number, no matter what, it could be food, it could be drinks, or everything like that. That's a problem. Because,
So no more 2 slices of pizza.
right. Well, we see. Well, yeah, right. Right. Could be. I don't know.
What about lechem mishnah? I mean, that
That's
itself.
what I said last
Yeah,
night.
right. That's Lechem Mishnah. So
I'm sorry.
it's a fantastic question. I guess I don't know. I don't know. I guess with Lechem Mishnah is not such a problem because that's not the only thing that you're eating. You're not eating both breads. Usually at my house, we just slice one and then put the other one for tomorrow.
So
Right.
in other words, I could have 2 cups of soda as long as I'm eating it with a meal because it's not just having 2 cups of soda.
That's what I think. That's why I keep using the example. Guy sits down with 2 cups of Coke right in front of him, and it's right in front of him. That's the problem.
Bernard, do the Mefarshim mention anything about the kiflaim? Does it have to be identical? Let's say 2 slices of bread. If one slice of bread is a little bit less, like it's 90% of the other quantity, is that the same thing, or does it have to be exactly the same?
That's an excellent question. Because well, let's logically answer that question. The Gemara could have answered that the cups of Arba Kais is not a problem because we could have used 2 different size cups.
Right.
And the Chachamim, the Gemara doesn't answer that. So it seems that it's still a problem. I think the answer is maybe you don't drink the whole thing. Let's say I don't drink the whole cup of soda.
Right.
The Gemara could have answered that. Even on Pesach, you don't have to drink the whole thing, the whole cup. You could do reviz. So you're not drinking the whole thing anyway. But the Gemara still thinks that you should be machmer in a something that's a poison. That's a sakanta.
But if you pour yourself a cup and then when you're done, you pour yourself another cup, that's not 2 cups, right?
That is 2 cups.
You said 2 at once in front of you.
Well, it could be a problem because Abaya's mother had the 2 cups waiting for him if he drank one. And if you drink,
right, that's to make it 3.
It depends. It depends what's in your mind. If when you sat down you plan to drink 2 cups, right? Then that's a problem. If you plan to only drink 1 cup and then you said, you know what, I'm still thirsty, so it's like your brand new drink. But if you plan to drink 2 cups, it doesn't matter if you poured it twice. So the Gemara says, the Rabbanan said, I don't know what this mystery halach. And again, it's a halacha l'Moshe Messinai. So I don't know what it is. So now, v'hada amrin, that what we said, asara t'maya shita abba, 10, 8, 6, and 4, eba mishum zuga, has no problem of even numbers, loy amrim el inyam mazikim. That was only spoken about by demonic forces. Avo le'inyan kishafim, if it's a problem of witchcraft, afilu tuvaname chashinim. It doesn't matter if you're dealing with witchcraft, which is a higher form of force, then you have to be concerned, no matter, even if it's a high number. Look at this story that the Gemara says, that there's a difference between a demon and witchcraft. Kiha, look at this story. Now, there was this man, the Gershel Dvise. He divorced his wife, and his wife was very upset that she got a divorce. In Saba Lachanoi, so she got married to a person who owned a bar, okay? And the husband would frequent that bar and have drinks there. So that's what it is. Kol yoyme, every day, have a ozil shasachamra. The old husband, the ex-husband, would come drink wine. And this bothered the ex-wife. Have a ka'av the lake shafim. She tried to do witchcraft on him. And it didn't work. Because he was very careful about it not ending off in an even number. One time, Ishtei Tuvi drank so much, he had no idea how much he drank. At Shitzer, until the number 16, wow, he must have been Irish. Havitzoyel, he still had a clear mind. Vizdar Benafshi, he was careful. He knew how to keep count till he had the 16th drink. But once he got over the number 16, Loy Havitzoyel, his mind was not clear. Well, he's Dar Benafshi. And therefore he wasn't careful. I picked the bezuge, so he ended off with an even number. So then he left the bar. He have an ozel when he when he was going, Gas Bey Tayaya, a Arab met up with him and met up with him, and he understood that this guy is in danger. Amalei, so the Arab even said, Gavra Katilahu, this is a dead man, the Azal Hacha. Azal, so this guy who had the witchcraft, the spell was on him. He grabbed a hold of a palm tree, tzavach dikla. The palm tree dried up. I was like an electric current that went through him, that the spell went into the palm tree and that dried up. Upakahu, and eventually he burst open and died too. So we see that witchcraft is even more powerful than when there's a concern of witchcraft. You have to be more careful. One more, let's do just another 2 minutes. Amar Abavira, Kares v'Kikares, ein behem v'shum zuga. If you're dealing with plates and bread, right? If you eat two kares, if you eat 2 plates of cooked foods, that's not a problem, and bread is not a problem with zuga. So here you have the Lechem Mishnah answer. Kikaras. But even if you eat both of them, Kol ol I'll give you the rule. Kol shegamare b'dei adam. If man prepared it, like a Danish, right? 2 Danish is not a problem. 2 ragalach. Ebam b'shum zugas. The problem of zugas is gemare b'dei shemayim. If it like fruits, gemare b'dei shemayim have a paris like fruits, so then you have to be concerned. B'milad mini de Michael. If it's food items chayshinin, then you have to be concerned. Chanus. If you drink in 2 bars, you drink one in 1 bar, and then you go next door to drink in another bar, that's not like two cups. That's, since you're going into another bar, that's not a problem. Nimlach, this is what Steve was talking about. If you weren't sure, you sat down, you want to drink 1 cup, and then you said, I want to have another cup, changing your mind is not a problem of zugas. If you're a guest, so you don't know how much they're going to bring to you, there's no problem with zugas. Isha, a woman who's being served by her husband, not a problem with zugas. She doesn't know how much her husband's going to decide to give her. But if it is an important woman, she's so, has very good self-confidence, and she should be concerned of zugas. Ispargus, the drink called ispargus, they had a natural drink made out of cabbage that they would drink it every morning. Like, if you like to drink lemon juice or garlic juice or something like that. So they would drink it, cabbage with wine. I don't know what the health benefits are. You got to look that up. But since it's meant for healing, it's like, it's not meant for drinking. It's mitzaref l'toiva. That drink, it would only combine if it's good for you. Ve'en mitzaref l'ra, it doesn't combine if it's bad for you. Amar of Ravina said, Mishmei de Rava, zugi lechamra, ve'amri la zugi lekula. Let's say you don't know if you drank wine and you ended up with an even number, then drink another one. Some say drink another one. Some say don't drink another one. And there's svaras either way what to do in a situation where you forgot what number you ended up with. So that's a machlokes. Amar Rav Yosef said, Trei de chamra, if you have 2 with wine, and v'chad shikrin, you have 1 with beer. So that's an odd number. That's no good. Lo mitzaref, because beer doesn't neutralize the even number of wine. Trei de shikrin, if you have 2 beers, v'chad chamra, 1 wine, mitzaref, then it works, because wine can neutralize the even number of beers. If you're connected to something more strict, this is a rule in Masechta Kalim, which it's just a way to remember it. The way to remember it, that the more chashav a drink, the more special drink could neutralize the lower drink, but not the other way around. Maskav law. Now, one more piece. Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rav. Rav Nachman said in the name of Rav, Trei kamataka. Let's say you have 2 during the meal. No, trei kamataka. I'm sorry, two drinks, like in the smorgasbord. You had 2 drinks before the meal. The chad and 1 drink ataka during the meal. So you had a total of 3 drinks. Mitzdarfe, then you combine it. Then you ended up with of 2 meals. But chad mikamitaka, you had 1 by the smorgasbord. Trei ataka and 2 by the meal. loy mitzdarfe. It doesn't combine. So you're concerned with zugos over here. So that's what Rav Nachman said in the name of Rav. Maskil love Rav Shashi. Rav Shashi says that doesn't make sense. At the end of the day, the man himself drank 3 drinks. Who cares if one was in the smorgasbord and 2 was in the meal? Do we care if it's the meal, if to fix the meal? We're trying to fix the person. The person is set straight. He drank 3. Just because he drank before the meal, just because he drank 1 before the meal and 2 during the meal, that shouldn't be a problem. So Rabbi Shashi says, the Kuli Alma, everybody would hold by the following case. Trei atakit, you have 2 during the meal, and then you benched probably. V'chad lebas atakit, and then you have 1 after the meal. So you would think that you have 3, but at the end of the day, you benched. So therefore, loy mitzdarfi, it's not going to combine. There was a story, Rabba Bar Nachmani, the Gemara talks about in Masechta Baba Metzia, that he had such a situation, and they had to call back the meal to pretend that he didn't finish eating the meal, so he cannot end off with an even number. So very interesting Gemara that continues in Mitzvah Shem tomorrow.
Steve, I think you're safe with the 2 slices of pizza because it's made by man.
Right.
There you go.
Right.
And
There you go.
And it's like bread.
Right. And it also makes a lot of like bread, and it also makes a lot of sense that eggs, which are basically natural,
Right.
And egozim and fruit, that makes more sense.
Right.
It seems like you're also protected if you go to someone's house, you're invited to someone's house. I think the only place we're in danger if you go to some restaurant, I would imagine.
Right. Well, exactly. But the Gemara said like beer. Isn't beer man-made or?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Beer is man-made, and even wine is pressed. It's not natural. It doesn't come. So there's something about the drink itself that has a chumrah. I don't know.
Other than water, nothing you eat you drink is natural.
Right.
Right. But I don't. I guess what the Gemara means, if you cook it or bake it, so then you don't have the problem with zugas. But if it's something that's not,
do you know people that are concerned with this currently?
As I mentioned, the Sfardim by a bris, they
are not concerned
about this, about zugas. I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, I've never heard of it, so I know people can't be that crazy about it. I've never heard anybody say, "Oh, I had 2 drinks. Let me get a 3rd one."
Right.
Yeah, but you see people go to Mukubalim and they go to this one and that one for all the people have superstitions and that
yeah, I grew up without them. So.
Yeah, I'm sure you did, because I'm sure if your brother or sister stepped over you, your mother would say,
"Oh,
go back."
All the time.
So
go back and go around.
Go back, go around.
But that's something.
That was the big one. The stepping over was a big one.
To do with tahara, with the bodies. It's something that there's something to that.
Right. You're not supposed to walk. You're not supposed to. I guess they used to walk over bodies when they were dead. So you're not supposed to step over a person or they won't grow. I was told.
But not only that, when you're doing a tahara, you're not supposed to lean over the body. You're supposed to go around. There's a whole thing to that.
Right.
Right.
I don't know. I didn't really do much of this stuff, but I do know I once learned that basically what we just read in the Gemara is that if you're concerned with it, it's something that you need to be concerned about. But if you are not concerned with it, it's not something you need to be concerned about.
Right.
Well, they say, I want to point out a point. This is talking about even numbers. Ayin hara is something you should be concerned about. We've seen that over and over, that ayin hara there's something to it. It's not that that you can say, "Oh, I'm not concerned about ayin hara." You don't be obsessed about it, but you should be concerned. That's why they say that this Gemara is only talking about even that's super
numbers, right.
The numbers, but not ayin hara.
Yeah, and also like you said, you shouldn't obsess about it, because and there's the whole thing. Al tiftach pe l'satan,
right.
Don't keep on talking about it.
I always say to my kids, it's not about talking positive or thinking positive. The big stress should be not to say negative.
Right.
By saying negative, you almost bring it upon yourself. I could give you example upon example, but in personal encounters with people who kept saying certain things about them.
I
Bringing
think
it-
we all have examples of that. I'm
Right.
serious.
you know, you remember Pistol Pete from he was a
Maravich?
He
Yeah.
said, yeah, look him up. So he said that
He passed away. He died.
of a heart attack. He passed
Yeah, because he had Marfan syndrome. He was a lot of basketball players have that. His aorta exploded.
right. But he said in an interview he doesn't want to play into his 30s and die of a heart attack.
Right.
And he said that over and over in interviews. And then,
Yeah.
So
It happened.
It
It
happened.
happened.
Yeah.
The main what?
Do we have this issue of the 2 and 3 and 4 about how many times to wash in the morning? Whether you should wash your hands 3 times on each hand or 4 times? Does this play into Zugos?
I don't know if that plays into Zugos.
It's just
When you
other
wash
reasons.
for bread, you do 2 and 2.
Right. There you have Zugos.
Somebody wanted to say that when you wake up after the Pesach morning, after the Seder, you don't have to wash Negelwasser. Because the whole Negelwasser was for Ruach Ra, right?
Right. That night is no
Right.
Ruach Ra.
I heard that you don't have to wash Negelwasser, but that's not the only reason why we do it. It has to do with like you're a kohen or something like that. So we of course we wash Negelwasser even Pesach morning.
Right.
A lot to be said on this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yasher Koach.
I'm going to send
Shabbat.
everybody. I'm sending everybody like information that I would love to have you, but at a kiddush. I know it's far from where you live, but
Thank
berichik makam bekiriv lev, and then
Amen.
I'm
Mazel tov.
Thank you.
Mazel
Thank you.
making a
Mazel
take
tov.
home kiddush. So
Mazel tov,
Mazel
mazel tov.
thank you. We should see us with each other. We'll continue Mitzvah Sunday, and we're going to finish this Masechta Be'ezras Hashem.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
Good to hide. Okay, take a
Good
Shabbos.
Chodesh.
Good Chodesh. Good Shabbos.
Okay.